Hello Mabu, hi, welcome to another Salute episode from ARS, yours truly, and oh boy, this is another one of the Salute videos about a show from Disney Junior you all know, and in this one, I am gonna salute on Sofia the First, since I remembered this show ever since kindergarten, and I actually enjoyed the series since elementary days of mine. And I deeply applied and immersed the skills I learned through lessons from the show. Loyal Disney fans, listen here, you gotta watch this, to prove the point. So without further ado, let us begin. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Sofia the First is one of the finest educational animated series aired and produced for Disney Junior. Premiering in 2012, the series thoughtfully integrates themes of social adaptation, ethical leadership, emotional intelligence, and moral responsibility within a fairy tale framework designed for young audiences. Rather than centering solely on fantasy elements, the show emphasizes character formation, illustrating how humility, empathy, and accountability define true nobility. From a developmental perspective, the program succeeds in presenting age-appropriate moral dilemmas that encourage critical thinking and interpersonal awareness among children. For me, this series became significant during a transitional phase in my childhood. In August 2013, when I was 6 years old, I began noticing the show on Disney Junior on cable TV. After one of my younger sisters playfully teased me about its trailer, even if names were withheld for privacy. At that time, my routine consisted primarily of school and playtime, and curiosity led me to watch it. This was during my final year residing in Metro Manila before permanently relocating to Legazpi in 2014. The following year, a period marked by both personal growth and environmental change. What initially seemed like casual viewing gradually became a meaningful formative experience. In hindsight, that timing was significant. The themes of adjustment and belonging portrayed in the series paralleled my own upcoming transition. What began as casual viewing gradually developed into meaningful appreciation. The premise of the show is straightforward yet profound. Sofia, an ordinary village girl, becomes a princess overnight when her mother marries King Roland II. She must adjust to palace life, royal expectations, and a new family dynamic. However, beneath this premise are layered lessons: navigating change with resilience, building relationships in unfamiliar environments, accepting responsibility, practicing humility despite elevated status, exercising leadership grounded in empathy. The show consistently communicates that nobility is demonstrated through conduct, rather than title. And now, for the characters and their personalities, and how do I describe them? Sofia is portrayed as an 8-year-old princess in training at Royal Prep. Her age is significant because it places her in a developmental stage where identity formation, peer acceptance, and moral reasoning are actively evolving. Despite being young, she consistently demonstrates empathy, humility, and reflective thinking. As a 6-year-old viewer back in 2013, I found her relatability compelling. Although she held a royal title, she still struggled with friendships, insecurity, and mistakes, experiences common to children her age. The show deliberately frames her youth as a strength rather than a limitation, emphasizing that leadership and integrity are not determined by age but by conduct. Although I am now 18 as of last year, and I will be turning 19 this April, her most significant magical ability comes from the Amulet of Valor, which grants her the power to communicate with animals and occasionally summons Disney princesses for guidance when she faces moral dilemmas. Importantly, the amulet responds to virtue, activating when Sofia demonstrates courage, honesty, or selflessness. This design reinforces a symbolic principle: power is conditional upon character. Princess Amber is Sofia's older sister, initially resistant to Sofia's arrival. Amber struggles with insecurity and adjustment. Over time, she matures into a supportive sister. She is initially characterized by competitiveness, vanity, and resistance to change. However, these traits stem from insecurity and fear of displacement rather than malice. Amber does not possess magical powers in the same sense as Sofia, but she demonstrates social intelligence and determination. Her strength lies in ambition and confidence. Over time, she evolves significantly, learning to share space, embrace vulnerability, and accept Sofia as family. Amber symbolizes emotional growth. Her arc teaches that discomfort with change is natural, but maturity involves reassessing one's assumptions. As a child viewer, I observed how rivalry can transform into cooperation. This lesson influenced how I navigated disagreements during playtime and group activities. Her character reinforces that development is not instantaneous. It requires humility and reflection. Keep in mind, she's 9, along with her twin brother James. Prince James, the older twin by a few minutes, is 9 years old. His personality is energetic, adventurous, and at times impulsive. He often seeks competition and validation, desiring recognition for bravery or achievement. James does not wield magical powers, but he excels in physical skill, flying derbies, night training, athletic competitions. His narrative role frequently addresses themes of fairness and sportsmanship. Episodes centered on him often illustrate that leadership is not proven through dominance but through integrity. James represents the tension between pride and humility. As a young viewer, I recognized elements of competitiveness common in childhood, the desire to win, to be acknowledged. Watching his character learn accountability subtly influenced how I approached games and school activities. His character teaches that courage must be guided by ethical awareness. He sometimes act up, but always get corrected properly at the end. King Roland II embodies structure, tradition, and protective authority. Initially, he prioritizes protocol and royal image. However, his growth throughout the series is notable. He gradually learns to value emotional understanding over rigid adherence to tradition. He does not possess magical abilities but wields institutional power. His authority is political rather than mystical. Over time, he models adaptive parenting, recognizing Sofia's wisdom despite her non-royal origin. Roland symbolizes institutional leadership in transition. His character suggests that authority must evolve to remain just. For a young viewer, this subtly normalized the idea that adults are capable of learning and adjusting. Queen Miranda is composed, emotionally intelligent, and diplomatically astute. As Sofia's mother and now queen, she balances maternal warmth with royal responsibility. Though not portrayed as magically empowered, her strength lies in emotional regulation and social diplomacy. She often mediates tension calmly, demonstrating that influence doesn't require dominance. Miranda represents stabilizing leadership. During my childhood, her character modeled patience and reassurance, particularly valuable during a time when I anticipated moving homes. She embodied consistency mid-transition. Cedric initially appears as an antagonist motivated by ambition to seize power. However, his arc reveals complexity. His personality blends insecurity, intelligence, and eventual loyalty. As the kingdom's royal sorcerer, Cedric possesses significant magical power, spellcasting, potion-making, and enchantments, yet his failures stem from ethical compromise, rather than incompetence. Cedric symbolizes the moral dimension of ambition. His development arc emphasizes that knowledge without integrity leads to greater instability later on. Over time, he moves toward redemption, illustrating that character transformation is possible. For a young viewer, his storyline introduced the idea that people are not fixed as good or bad. Growth is attainable. Just be good, and act with good integrity, so to earn real trust from people you all know. Clover, who is Sofia's rabbit companion, provides levity. He is humorous, food-loving, occasionally anxious, but loyal. While he lacks grand magical powers, his ability to speak with Sofia, enabled by the amulet, gives him narrative relevance. Clover represents ordinary perspective amid royal complexity. He voices practical concerns and comedic realism. His presence balanced heavier moral themes, making lessons accessible and emotionally lighter. And now, let's head to my top 10 favorite episodes, with some of the brief context. 1. In just one of the princes, Sofia disguises herself to compete in a flying derby, challenging gender norms and advocating fairness. 2. In the big sleepover, that was where Sofia attempts to fit in with Amber's friends and learns authenticity matters more than imitation. Be true of who you are, always. 3. In Princess Test, This is a series of evaluations at Royal Prep demonstrates that kindness outweighs technical skill. 5. In The Amulet and the Anthem, that was where Sofia learns that magical shortcuts cannot replace preparation and confidence. 6. In Cedric's Apprentice, Sofia considers studying magic, ultimately choosing integrity over ambition, by doing it through her own heart, instead of just trying to impress others. 6. In The Floating Palace, that was where Sofia mediates conflict between underwater kingdoms, modeling diplomacy. 7. In Two to Tango, that's where a magical wish splits her personality, illustrating the need for balance. 8. In The Curse of Princess Ivy, the consequences of envy emphasize accountability. How do they stop Ivy from illegally taking over Enchantia? 9. In The Enchanted Feast, that was where Sofia practices problem-solving during royal chaos. 10. And final, in Forever Royal, the finale encapsulates her full development into a mature, compassionate leader. That's where the final boss battle got in. Now, how I applied the lessons in real life. Easy and peasy. At 6 years old in 2013, I was approaching a significant transition, relocating from Metro Manila to Legazpi in 2014. The following year, though I did not consciously articulate it then, the show influenced my behavior in practical ways. When I anticipated transferring schools, I reflected on Sofia entering Royal Prep as an outsider. This encouraged me to approach new environments with openness rather than fear. When encountering disagreements during playtime, I practiced apologizing more quickly. Sofia frequently acknowledged her mistakes without defensiveness. I became more aware of fairness during games, rather than insisting on winning. I tried to ensure others felt included. Additionally, the show subtly shaped my understanding. Most importantly, the program reframed how I understood status and identity. Being royal was not about superiority, it was about service. For a child preparing for relocation, this message was stabilizing. Looking back, my exposure to Sofia the First back in August 2013 coincided with a formative developmental stage. The show offered narrative reassurance during uncertainty. It presented change not as loss, but as opportunity for growth. Today, I recognize that early media experiences can influence ethical frameworks. While it was a children's cartoon, its narrative architecture emphasized virtues that remain relevant: humility, adaptability, and principled leadership. Its impact extended beyond entertainment. It functioned as a subtle educational tool during a transitional year of my childhood, moving to the present time. Since 2023, now that I have Disney+, revisiting Sofia the First has become a different experience altogether. I am now 18 years old, turning 19 in April this year, and my perspective has matured significantly compared to when I first watched the series at age 6. Viewing the show again as a young adult allows me to appreciate its structural depth more consciously. What I once absorbed intuitively as simple lessons about kindness and fairness, I now recognize as carefully constructed narratives about adaptive leadership, moral reasoning, and social-emotional development. The themes resonate differently today. Adjustment is no longer just about changing schools, it reflects broader life transitions. Leadership is no longer about playground fairness, it extends to accountability and decision-making. Identity is no longer about fitting in, it involves maintaining values amid change. Streaming the series on Disney+ has also underscored the continuity between childhood formation and present identity. The values modeled in the show, humility, courage, empathy, remain relevant as I navigate late adolescence and early adulthood. What began in 2013 as curiosity, prompted by a playful tease and simple boredom, has become a reflective point of continuity in my personal development. Rewatching it now does not feel nostalgic in a shallow sense. Instead, it feels like revisiting a foundation, a layer of my character formation. In summary, Sofia the First was more than a fairy tale series I happened to watch in 2013. It entered my life during my final year in Metro Manila before relocating permanently to Legazpi in 2014. It provided narrative models for navigating unfamiliar environments, resolving interpersonal tensions, and approaching responsibility with grace. At 6 years old in 2013, I did not analyze these themes explicitly, yet their influence was tangible in my behavior and perspective. Even now, revisiting the series reminds me that leadership begins with character, and that growth often starts in moments of transition. In other words, the series quietly shaped my understanding of adaptation, empathy, accountability, and leadership. It reframed royalty not as privilege, but as responsibility. It taught that kindness is strength, humility is wisdom, and growth is often uncomfortable but necessary. Now, with access to Disney Plus since 2023, revisiting the show allows me to see its craftsmanship and developmental value more clearly. What once felt simple now feels foundational. And that concludes this video. If you have also watched Sofia the First, I would genuinely be interested in hearing your reflections. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Your support helps this series of childhood analyses continue. Also, feel free to comment below. What were your favorite moments from the show? Which episode impacted you the most? And why do you think it still resonates today? I appreciate your time and attention in watching this reflection. Anyways, this is me, over and out. See you later guys.